Good evening. Did you know all it takes is one small mistake on your part as a notary public to prevent a person's vote from being counted this November? My name is Michelle Riley. I'm the founding owner of Notaries for Alabama. I wanted to hop on this live this evening because something important happened last week that reminded me how important it is for Alabama notaries to be informed about the changes involving the Alabama absentee ballot. And so that's what I want to talk about with you this evening. Again, if you don't know me, I am the founding owner of Notaries for Alabama. We help Alabama residents become successful Alabama notaries. And we do that by helping with the commission process for new and renewing notaries. We offer training, mentoring, and we also will help individuals obtain their notary surety bond and insurance. So this evening, again, the focus is all about Alabama's absentee voter laws and the role that we Alabama notaries play in the process. I don't do too many lives, and so if I don't see your comments, I hope you'll ask questions and make comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. Uh, let's go ahead and get started. What I'm going to use to help guide this evening's conversation is this book, Alabama's Absentee Voter Affidavit, a handbook for Alabama notaries. This is a paperback book that I published a few months ago in preparation for the upcoming election. Good way for notaries to get familiar with the absentee voter packet and the different documents that are involved. Because as I said on the onset, I was troubled and shocked when I heard that in the last election that we held here in Alabama, there were a number of ballots, absentee ballots, that could not be counted because of notary mistakes. And me being a commissioned notary, I'm sure those were mistakes that were made accidentally by notaries. So I'm hoping those of you who are Alabama notaries will leave with some new and helpful information. By the way, Alabama is one of, I believe, 7 states that requires the ballot form or ballot documents to be notarized. Most other states allow voters to just mail in their ballots without needing a notary or a witness. But Alabama does, and I think that extra step is what oftentimes invites opportunities for errors. And you'll see me checking my notes because I want this to keep me on track. So the good news is that the voter is responsible for requesting an application to vote absentee. Hey there, Frank. So glad that you're able to join me this evening. You keep an eye. You must have an alert set because you're usually one of the first notaries to leave a comment, and I'm glad to have you join me this evening. And so what I wanted to mention is the good news is that it is the voters' responsibility to reach out to their absentee election manager to request to vote absentee or mail-in. We notaries don't need to be involved in that initial step. But I will tell you, I want to go through with you what we are involved in. And so, in addition to filling out the actual ballot, Alabama absentee voters are required to sign two important documents: the application for absentee ballot and the affidavit of absentee voter. Okay? So those are the two important documents that need to be completed in order for an Alabama voter to vote absentee. Now, the voter's signature on the affidavit must be witnessed or notarized. And I'll go into more detail about that in just a moment. So again, there are a couple phases involved with voting absentee. There's the first phase where the voter requests to or gets permission to do a mail-in ballot or absentee ballot. Again, it's the voter's responsibility to request, complete, and return the application for absentee ballot form. It's not our responsibility at all as notaries. And that's the most important, one of the first important things I want to leave you with. And so, notaries, if someone calls you and asks you to help them with the application, I want to vote absentee, I want you to know you have limited to no role. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So here is a sample application for absentee ballot. This is what the voter completes, okay, not us. And at the bottom of the form, the application, the voter's signature is required. Okay. And if the voter is able to sign, there is no need for a witness. Now, remember what I said earlier. Definitely, in no situation will the application form ever need to be notarized. So if you're asked to notarize the application, you need to say no. You need to refuse. However, there may be a time when the voter is not able to make their usual legal signature here on the application form. So if due to a physical limitation or an illness, they're unable to make a legible signature, they can leave a mark. They can just put an X in the signature box, draw a line or a curve, it doesn't matter. That is considered signature by mark. Only then will the application need to be not notarized, but witnessed by one per individual. The witness's signature goes here. The witness's printed name goes at the bottom of the signature. All right. Otherwise, if the voter can sign without any problem, you should not be involved with the application process. And that application process is requesting permission to do a mail-in voting. And by the way, last week, September 11th, was important for two reasons. Reason number one, we recognized and remembered the terrorist attack, the anniversary, of the terrorist attacks. The other important thing that happened on 9/11 last week here in Alabama is that the absentee ballots started being mailed out to residents who had already completed this step, the application. Okay, so again, applications have already been submitted and will continue to be submitted, which is why I'm doing this live tonight, because I anticipate that notaries across the state will start receiving requests from friends, family members, total strangers for assistance with the voting absentee process. So I wanted to make sure that I get these important instructions and tips and information out to you. All right, and again, if you have questions, I can see them. Feel free to type it in the chat below. And by the way, I post quite a few videos here on this YouTube channel, Notaries for Alabama. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I want to invite you to do so. It's a great way for you to get alerts and information. I try my best to only record information that Alabama notaries will find helpful. Excuse me. All right. And so when we are acting as a witness to the application, we are not acting as notaries in that capacity. And so there's no need for you to pull out your notary seal. Really, the only requirement is anyone over the age of 18 can be a witness on this form. So you can if you get a call or a request from someone that you don't know, or if you're not available, you could say to them, ma'am, just so you know, it doesn't have to be a notary to witness your signature on the application. Just make sure whoever acts as a witness is at least 18 years of age. Okay? Moving on. But if you want to act as a witness, I just told you how to do it. I want to make a couple suggestions, and I don't think this is mandatory, but I think it's a good notary best practice. Again, you're not going to use your official seal, but it would be wise for you to still verify the voter's identity, because, I mean, you are witnessing, and I think it would be wise for you to know whose signature you are witnessing. Now, not all Alabama notaries keep a journal. It is not mandatory in Alabama, but it's definitely a best practice. And so if I'm asked to witness a person's signature on the application form, I'm going to go ahead and make a journal entry. I'm going to request ID for the voter. and then go ahead and make an entry in my notary journal. Again, is it mandatory? No, but again, I think it is a best practice. It's up to the voter to then turn in the application and wait for the absentee election manager for their county to mail them the absentee ballot packet. All right, it'll be mailed to their home. And that packet will include an instruction sheet that walks the voter through the entire process. It will also include the official ballot. It will look just like the ballot that you get when you go to your polling place to vote, all right? But that packet will also include 3 other items. 1, a plain secrecy envelope. 2, an affidavit envelope. And 3, a pre-addressed mailing envelope. All right, so we've got the ballot. Let me back up. We've got the instruction sheet, or the voter does, that explains how to fill out everything step by step. It also will provide contact information for the voter. So notaries, if you get a call from a voter asking you questions, I don't understand what to do and all, remind them to go back to the instruction sheet and have them reach out to their absentee election manager. We as notaries should not be answering questions about the absentee voting process. I know I haven't been trained on it. Now, if you have at it. But I have not, and I don't want to misinform the voter. So instruction sheet, the actual ballot that they're going to fill in with the black pen, the circles to vote for their different candidates, presidential candidate, any other candidates that are running, and any constitutional amendments that are up for voting. And then also in that packet, voters will find a plain secrecy envelope. And so the purpose of that envelope is after they have made their voting, they need to place the in the secrecy envelope and seal it. The next envelope is the affidavit envelope. And yes, I happen to have a sample of that. So the affidavit envelope, trying to figure out the best. There we go, Michelle. So it's a white 9.5 by 12, I think, envelope. And notaries, this is what gets completed by the voter. And this is what we will either notarize or witness. And I'll explain more in just a moment. And so I'm going to keep going with my notes. And then the third and final envelope, I don't have a sample of that, I'm sorry, but it's another envelope that is large enough, this and the secrecy envelope to fit in so that the voter can either hand it to the absentee election manager or mail it in. The postage, that outer envelope, the pre-addressed mailing envelope, will require postage. And I did ask, the postage for that, I believe, is going to be between $2.50 to $3. for postage to mail that in. Or again, they can hand deliver it. All right. What I want to do now is go through quickly with you key information or tips to help you know what to do when you are called upon to help out with the affidavit. Now, those of you who are notaries who have been trained, you know that an affidavit, whether it's for voting or anything else, is a sign that it needs to be notarized. So let's go ahead and talk about it. You get a call from the voter. They need your help. You arrive. Well, before you even get there, I want to say, let the voter know to go ahead and complete the ballot. And once it's done, place it in the secrecy envelope before you get there, because it is not the notary's role to proofread or review who they voted for. That really is personal information. So you shouldn't see the ballot. Do not ask to see the ballot. You see it, please don't make any comments like, whoa, you voted for that person. That then takes you out of being an unbiased witness. As notaries, our role is to act as an unbiased witness when performing notarizations. All right. So it is not the role of the notary or a witness to know who the voter voted for, nor is it the notary's responsibility to make sure the ballot has been completed correctly. Be sure to explain that to the voter before you arrive, all right? Moving on. Refrain from engaging in political discussions and discussing party affiliation and preferences. Again, you want to be unbiased. All right. And after voting for their candidate and those amendments, as I mentioned already, the voter needs to place the entire ballot in the secrecy envelope and seal it. That ballot does not need to be signed, nor witnessed, or notarized. Okay? I'm hoping you're following me here, if that makes sense. Just think about it. When we go to the polls to vote, we're not signing anything. Okay? We're just filling in those circles. All right? So now it's time for the affidavit envelope. And this is when you and I have work to do. The affidavit of absentee voter. That's this form here. You see the title, Affidavit of Absentee Voter. Take a look at it. That middle section has boxes and lines that need to be filled out. The voter fills out that information, not the notaries. All right. And yeah, this affidavit is printed on the back side of an envelope. It is not a separate form. Before the voter completes and signs the affidavit, it is imperative for either one notary to be present with the voter or two witnesses. The voter decides whether they want a notary present or two witnesses. Leave it up to them. Let them know they have a choice. And we commissioned notaries can act as a notary, and we can also act as one of the two witnesses. and the voter might need your help to find another witness. They may not have a family member or friend. Many elderly people vote absentee for a variety of reasons. So now it's up to you to decide if you want to bring, if you're acting as a witness, another person. Let me know if you have any questions about being a notary, acting as a notary, or acting as a witness. And remember, witnesses must be at least 18 years of age, all right? And witnesses and the notaries have to be in the room with the voter before they sign the affidavit. Next point, talked about the witnesses. When acting as a witness or a notary, the notary, you still need to know whose signature you're witnessing or notarizing. So go ahead and verify the signer's identity. Go ahead and make a journal entry, all right, just to be on the safe side. If the voter chooses to have his signature on the affidavit notarized, again, he's going to wait until you arrive. And the other thing I want you to do is tell the voter not to put anything inside this envelope yet. It's going to be a lot easier if the voter keeps it empty and flat while filling out the form and signing it. All right. And then after it's been filled out and notarized, then you can remind them to go ahead and slide that secrecy envelope inside of the affidavit envelope. All right. So why must the voter wait for the notary before they sign the form? Frank, if you're still watching, I think you know the answer to that question. But this is very important. Why? Because it's an affidavit that requires that an oath or an affirmation be administered. What do I mean by that? Almost every form that has the word affidavit in it is a jurat notarization. There are different types. Glad you're sticking around, Frank. There are different types of notarizations that notaries perform. The two most popular are jurat notarizations and acknowledgement notarizations. And so it is a requirement when it's a jurat notarization that the notary watch the signer make their signature, and it's a good practice before they sign their name. We, as notaries, need to place them under oath. And if you've never placed someone under oath, that can be a problem. I hear you, Frank. I'm going to watch it a few times too myself once it's done. But I don't have the time to go into great detail about oaths and affirmations, but you need to, one, make sure the voter understands what this is for and what this means. I'm going to ask them, have you read this? Do you understand what you're about to sign? And then you let them know that the affidavit requires you to place them under oath. You're going to ask them to raise their right hand. and then you administer the oath. A very simple oath would be, do you swear under penalty of perjury that the information you've provided on this affidavit is true, so help you God? You might run into a voter who does not want to invoke the name of God. In that case, you administer an affirmation. An affirmation goes like this. Mr. Voter, raise your right hand. Do you affirm under penalty of perjury that the information you provided on this affidavit is true? Okay. As for me, when I do these, I'm going into a little more detail because there is a section on this form that really gets into the nitty-gritty. And so my oath will just be a little more detailed. That's just how I do it. But for those of you who may be new to this, you are fine with making sure they understand what they are signing, but you definitely need to place them under oath. You don't need to bring out a Bible and have them put their left hand on the Bible. Not required. But you should ask them to raise their right hand. Now, if due to a physical ailment or limitation, they can't raise their hand, that's fine. But make sure they respond and say yes. But if they don't want to take an oath, then or an affirmation, you should not notarize. You should not complete the notarization. All right. Now, if you are just witnessing, acting as a witness, you do not have to administer the oaths. That is only if you're acting as a notary. All right. Talked about waiting to watch the signer sign their name. All right. Talked about the oath. All right. Talked about that. Make a journal entry. Record the date, the time, the name of the form, indicate that you administered the oath. All journals will ask you for the person's name. I always put their name as it appears on, in this case, I'll write the name as it appears on their ID, record the type of ID, and then have them sign the journal. Well, I just bit my tongue. All right. Next tip. They filled out the form, and when they say they are finished, they hand it to you because there are parts on this affidavit that we have to fill out as notaries. And so if you're making any notes, the voter completes sections from the top where it says, my place of residence in Alabama is. That is for them to complete. It is asking for their home address. It goes on to ask for their date of birth. And then it gives them the opportunity to choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or more reasons why they are voting absentee. They must check at least one of these boxes. But if all apply, have them check all of the boxes. After they check the boxes, then they need to read the section that I pointed out to you after that. And then below there, it asks, I am a member of which party? Now, I was told that if they're not sure which party they are registered in, they can leave that blank. But I think most people know they would print the political party that they are a member of. And then right below there is a line for their signature or their mark, and then their printed name. The voters should fill all of that out. All right, and they should be using a black pen, and you should be using a black pen. Once the oath is done, they've signed it, now it's our turn or your turn. And then you are going to start at the top because there is a place for the venue. State of California, county of. The county is blank. Wherever your feet are planted at when you are meeting with the voter. If you're in Jefferson County meeting with the voter, you print Jefferson, County of Jefferson. If you are in, hey, Cher, good to see you, sis. If you're in Madison County, you write Madison County. Make sure you're printing this information. Do not use cursive handwriting. And again, use print clearly and legibly. And then the next place for you to fill out is at the bottom. And I know it's small, but it reads, sworn to and subscribed before me this blank day of blank 2000. And so, you're going to write in the day, the month, in 2024. And then it reads, I certify that the affiant, who is the voter, is known or made known to me to be the identical party he or she claims to be. And then there is a line that says signature of official, title of official, address of official. Who is the official? You are. And so on the signature line, you are going to use your official signature that is on file with your county probate office. Okay? Underneath that, your title is Notary Public. And beneath your title, they are asking for your home address. They are going to verify this information with what is on file with them. I know some of us have a mailing address or a business address. We should not place that. This is not the place for that. We need to put our home address on this affidavit. Now, this is very, very important because there is no mention of commission expiration date and no mention of your seal. But if you don't add those two things, they will not count the ballot. And if this is one of the most important things I need you to know as a commissioned Alabama notary, do not forget to add your official notary seal, and do not forget to add your commission expiration date. You're going to need to figure out a way to fit all of that either here or here. Okay? Obviously, if you are acting as a witness, You don't need to use your seal or even fill out that section. That's only if you're acting as a notary public. Let's talk about that seal a little more. Try not to let the seal overlap or cover any text on the affidavit. Okay? There's not a lot of room there. So you're going to have to plan it accordingly. In fact, you may want to apply your seal or embosser first and then add your signature around it. Speaking of embosser, I purchased an embosser 1 year, and the teeth on the embosser were so sharp that whenever I used it, it poked holes through the paper. And I had to stop using it. You do not want to poke holes in the affidavit envelope because it could affect, well, if the ballot's in there already, you don't want to puncture the ballot. That's another reason why ask the voter to hold off putting anything inside the affidavit envelope. I'm going to use my ink stamp for this type of notarization, not my embosser. So make sure, those of you who only use embossers, make sure you're not poking holes. Look over the information on the affidavit. Make sure that the voter didn't skip over any information. Make sure you filled out everything correctly in that small notary certificate section. And remember, the venue is up at the top of the form affidavit on this. And once you're confident that your notarization is correct, or after you and that second witness have witnessed the signature, then and only then should the voter go ahead and slide that secrecy envelope inside of the affidavit envelope. While you may want to help the voter in returning the completed package back to the absentee election manager, a new law was passed March of this year that limits who can do that on behalf of the voter. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to make sure that I include a link to a copy of the new absentee voting law so you can read it for yourself. It is very particular about that. All right, I want to talk about a couple more things before I sign off. Notary fees. My stomach is growling, but it knows it's too late to be hungry. All right, everyone should know by now in Alabama that September 1, 2023, the notary fee was increased from $5 per notarial act to $10 per notarial act. This affidavit form counts as 2 notarial acts. You are notarizing the signature of the voter, and you administered an oath. And so technically, legally, you could charge a $20 notary fee. But charging a notary fee is never mandatory. It is always optional. And I am recommending that every Alabama notary public waive or forego charging a notary fee for the affidavit form. This is not the right document for you to try to make money. This is a very politicized process. And one, it's not a good look. Why do you want someone to have to pay to vote? I mean, that's what you would be doing. Now, I can't force you. I have no authority over you. Frank says you've never charged for this. I haven't either. It just doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right. Again, there are many people, not all, but many who vote absentee may not even be able to afford it. And so I'm not doing it. And I am encouraging all notaries not to do it. Alabama's notary law does not mention travel fees. It never has. When notarizing signatures on other documents, it continues to be an accepted norm for notaries to charge a reasonable travel fee if they drive to a signer's location. If you decide to charge travel fees for this type of notarization, make sure you disclose this to the voter before you arrive. And those who are wondering what I'm reading from, it's a book that I wrote. This, as you could tell, this is just my copy. It's Alabama's Absentee Voter Affidavit, a handbook for Alabama notaries. I'm posting a link in the description of this live in case you want to purchase one for yourself. It's only 29 pages and very affordably priced. So again, fees, I recommend that you don't. Let's see, was there anything else? The best advice I have to offer concerning fees is this. If you're going to charge a fee to notarize or witness voter documents, make sure the voter has a crystal clear understanding of what's being charged and why it's being charged before you get there. You do not want to have a voter call their election manager, absentee election manager, their probate judge, or the Secretary of State's office complaining about a notary who is asking for $50 just for them to vote. You don't want that smoke. I know you don't. All right, that completes this step. Once the secrecy envelope is placed in here, the voter has an instruction sheet that tells them to place everything in the outer mail-in envelope. It's already pre-addressed. All they need to do is place stamps, postage on it, and either take it to the post office or deliver it to their absentee election manager's office, and they will have that information in the instruction sheet. Last but not least, in the book, I talk about the new law that went into effect. I really don't want to take more time to get into the nuts and bolts of this, but it is important. It places strict limits and guidelines on who can even deliver the completed notarized ballots back to the absentee manager. The new law talks about who can accept fees related to voting. This is another reason why I'm discouraging notaries from for accepting fees. And if you get a call from a nursing home or a rehab center that says, hey, can you come and take care of everyone here in our facility all at one time, I'm recommending that before you confirm that you pick up the phone and reach out to your absentee election manager and ask them if this is okay. Because there is information in the new law about that sort of thing. Okay, really, it's very strict, and I just don't want a notary who is trying to be helpful to end up being harmful to him or herself. I really appreciate those of you who stuck around. This was longer than I anticipated, but hopefully you found it to be helpful information. Again, feel free to subscribe to the channel as I will be posting more content related to notary training tips and what to do, what to avoid. And I appreciate you turning in. Have a great evening, and I hope the rest of your week is successful. Have a good night.